So let's start with broadcast receivers. Today we'll learn something about broadcast receivers. How you are going to work with broadcast receivers. Okay. Now let's get the concept first. What is a broadcast receiver? Consider that this is your app and your app is needing some notifications from the Android system. If this is an if this is Android system, if you can consider this as Android system, this Android system will send some notifications to throughout your phone, like charger plugged, charger unplugged, wallpaper changed, date changed, reboot completed, Wi-Fi connected, Wi-Fi disconnected, battery level changed. So Android is going to send some of the notifications time to time, right? Android is having one broadcast sender or layer of broadcast sender. Via that layer, Android is going to send these notifications time to time. This you accept it or reject it, but Android is going to send these notifications in timely manner. If that event has occurred, Android will send that notification. Charger connected, charger disconnected, Wi-Fi connected, Wi-Fi disconnected, boot completed, flight mode on, flight mode off. Such events are going to be displayed by, or it is going to be pushed by Android, right? By means of these events, or you can say broadcasts, Android is having something called as broadcast sender. Broadcast sender. Via broadcast sender, Android is going to send, or OS is going to send these events via broadcast sender on that event basis. Okay, now at your app side, if you are interested in one or more events, if your application is interested in one or more events, your app need to register that broadcast receiver. Your app need to register that broadcast receiver, right? Now you can register the broadcast using two ways, either in XML or in the Java code. That two are having their own different intentions, right? You can register the receiver either in the manifest file, or you can register that via code, either in manifest file or in the code. But you need to register. If you are looking for this broadcast, if you are looking for this event, you need to register broadcast receiver for this event, right? Okay, so if you are listening, or if you want to register, or if you want to get the events for this thing, you can say it is a battery level change. You need to listen for battery level changed, right? If your app, whatever broadcast your app needs, for all of them you need to have registered the receiver. You need to register the receiver, right? Okay, now if you consider this thing, or if you zoom this thing, right, what is this? It is firing the event. Means what is this? If I zoom this thing, right, if I zoom this thing, so this would become this, and this is nothing but the object of intent. Means Android OS is going to send intents time to time. It is going to fire intents time to time, and that's why broadcast receivers are also called as intent receivers. Broadcast receivers are also called as what? Intent receivers, because this object is nothing but what? Object of intent. This intent would be having some action, this intent would be having category and data. Sometimes, not generally, but sometimes this data would be there. So Android is going to create object of intent. Means if you want to match the intent at the activity side, you should have what? Intent filter. Here you should have intent filter, and this is nothing but what? Intent. Android is throwing the intent, your activity should have what? Intent filter. Everything from intent should find the match. You are going to write intent filter, remember that. Android is going to fire intent. What Android is going to fire? Android is going to fire intent, and you are going to write filter. Everything from intent should find the match. Okay, let's see now what happens. So what I'll do is that here let's create one broadcast receiver new. Can you see? Java class, or you can create directly from other. Can you see? Broadcast receiver. You can say my receiver exported and enabled true. Exported and enabled true. This thing. See, you are learning second component. First we have learned the activity, first component, and this is the second component that you are learning. Broadcast receiver. It's an abstract class. Only one method is abstract, that is nothing but what? On receive. This method is only abstract over here. And whenever you are going to get some event or the broadcast, on receive of this is going to be get called with context and the intent data given to you by operating system. This is the intent. This intent has fired by the OS, and that's why broadcast receivers are also called as intent receivers, because see, it is going to receive nothing but the intent in the on receive method, right? Remove this thing. Now there are two scenarios. Your application, if you are considering your app and you think that I should receive the airplane mode event if my application is closed. I should receive the events if my application is open or my application is closed. I am saying I am killing the app, or I am removing its app from the recent as well. Still I should get some notifications. Throughout, forever, the app life. Until and unless you are not going to uninstall the app from your phone, till then you would be receiving the events broadcast. If and only if you are going to register the receiver in XML. Yes, if you are going to register the broadcast receiver in the XML, right, in the manifest XML, you are going to receive the events throughout the app life, from installation to the uninstallation, irrespective of your app is open or your app is closed, it is in recent or whatever it is. You should receive the events forever until and unless you are not going to uninstall the app. Okay, and if you think that I want to receive the events if and only if app is open, means if I am going to see app is open on my screen, then and only then I should receive the events. Register the broadcast receiver in the code, not in the manifest file. Okay, let's see both the scenarios. Let me type the code. broadcast receivers, this and the manifest file. Can you see receiver tag? It has registered this. Now enable and exported true. These are the two things. Okay, let's read it about enable and export. That is related to the object creation, and another is related to accessing from outside the app. Let's see. Exported and enabled Android. Exported and enabled Android. See receiver tag. We are learning this receiver tag. So in the documentation they have written like this: enabled and exported. See, enabled whether or not the broadcast receiver can be instantiated by the system. Who is going to instantiate the broadcast receiver? That is going to be decided by this enabled attribute or flag, you can say. True if it can be, and false if not. The default is true. System is going to create the object, right? Okay, now see exported whether or not broadcast receiver can receive the messages from outside its application. Outside its application, by default it is true, right? See, from where that is going to be accessed and who is going to be instantiate, that is going to be decided by this enable and exported tag. We are going to use same thing about the content providers. Remember that at the time of content providers we'll see this thing. At that time, remember, enabled related to the object instantiation and the exported related to the access from outside the app. Who is going to access this thing? That is going to be decided by enabled and the exported true, right? In this case presently both are true. Let me delete this because I don't want this receiver to be live throughout the app, means installation to the uninstallation. I want to activate this receiver only if app is running. Okay, now here how you are going to register the receiver? There is one method, register receiver. There is one method, simple, register receiver. See this method, register receiver. See, it is going to return you object of intent, and this method is from context class. Can you see this? This method is from context class over here. It is a context class. Register receiver. This method. First parameter, the receiver to handle the broadcast, and the filter selects the intent broadcast to be received. Selects the intent broadcasts to be received. It is a filter. Second parameter would be the filter, and first parameter would be the actual instance of broadcast receiver. Okay, in this case what I'll do is that I'm not going to use this class my receiver. My receiver will use at the time of whenever we are going to register in the XML. Presently we are not registering through the XML, so forget about this class, this thing. So I'm going to create one anonymous inner type over here, private broadcast receiver. Receiver is equals to new broadcast receiver, and I can pass object of that broadcast receiver over here. First parameter is object of intent filter. What we need? Intent filter. See, intent filter is equals to new intent filter, and say filter dot set action. Intent filter, you can use action, sorry, not set, it is an intent filter. Yesterday we have seen intent filter have multiple action, multiple category, multiple data. So set wouldn't be there, it would be add action. That would be what? Add action. Now see, intent dot airplane mode. Can you see this thing? Airplane mode changed. I want to call this on receive method. I want to call this on receive method on every change of airplane mode. On or off. Okay, so I can pass object of filter over here, and I can pass object of receiver over here. Is it satisfying? Or I think I have written in the reverse manner, receiver and the filter, like this. Are you getting this thing? Now presently what I'll do is that let me have the log over here, log.I at codekul would be the key, and say airplane mode or flight mode, airplane mode changed, airplane mode changed. Now it is enabled or disabled. For that there is one extra key under the intent. Okay, see now, I don't remember that. Let's see, Android airplane mode receiver. So there is one key, airplane mode receiver. See this thing? So we have one key. Let's get the help of the stack, right? So whenever you would be getting any problem, you can get the help of stack, no problem. So there would be one key, broadcast receiver intent. Okay, airplane mode changed. Not this, you have simple key. If action fine, yes, see this. So this is also one way. Airplane mode status change, and you are going to do something like this, get int. So what they are doing is that they are reading from content provider. System app is having one content provider. You are changing that setting here at this level, right? See this? Yes, can you see this? Intent dot get boolean extra, and the state, if this is true, right, means in a mode is on. If this is false, mode is off. This extra. So intent would come with one data. First we'll run this code and see what happens. Are we getting the logs or not? Let's see this. Now let's open this. Let me select the emulator, and this. Okay, so it would be running. Now we are going to, when once app is running, we are going to enable or disable the airplane mode, right? Now let's go here. Can you see this airplane mode? And you can check some logs somewhere over here. Here it might be changing. See? Okay, we have enabled the airplane mode. Say at codecool. Can you see airplane mode changed over here? By that filter we are trying to select off. Can you see airplane mode changed? But it is on or off, we are not getting right away. It is you have made, or you have enabled, or you have disabled. You cannot identify that thing. If you want to identify, you have enabled the broadcast receiver, or you have disabled the broadcast receiver, right? You are going to use this intent dot boolean extra. means this intent you are getting from the system, and that intent is having one boolean value that is suggesting that, right, that is suggesting that yes, you have enabled or the disabled. See how, if intent dot get boolean extra, so you don't need to get the extras. So at the time of interactivity communication, what we have seen, intent dot get extras, then we got the bundle, and from that bundle you have called bundle dot get boolean. So instead of that thing you can write inline code, right? How? And key would be the state, and this would be get boolean extra state. If that state is not present over there, what to return? Please return the false. If this key is not available, return the false, and that's it, only this thing. If, then do this thing, means you are saying if this is a true, if you want to get this thing, what I'll do is that let me log it first, airplane mode changed, and plus this true or false, you would be getting in the output true or false. See what happens. Can you see? True enabled, false disabled, true enabled, and false disabled. Now this is returning you true or false, so you can get the benefit of that thing. Are you getting that? This, else it is disabled, it is enabled, say, else it is disabled. Now if you go to the stack and if you check that, here they have used something system settings dot system dot get in. This is nothing but the broadcast receiver, sorry, not broadcast receiver, content provider. With the help of content provider you can get the system settings, means in the database of system, when you enable the flight mode, some value in the database gets changed, and you are getting that value by using this code. This is also correct way, right? And this is more correct and related to the broadcast receiver, right? Okay, now enabled or disabled. Now what I'm going to do is that let me have one image view over here in the system relative layout. Let's have one image view, this preview, and say match parent, and you can have match parent. So I have image view in the match parent and the match parent. I can have id at plus id image airplane, image airplane. Let's get that settings, let's get that two images. We are going to use vector drawables, and it is a suggested way to use the vector drawables. Instead of this configurations, you can use the vector drawables. So new, you can say vector asset, and what you are going to select. If you can get the settings somewhere over here, device, here you might be, can you see airplane mode on, airplane mode off, will be getting both these. This, say next, and say finish. Okay, again another drawable, new vector asset, then device, into the device you can get this, say okay, and next, and finish this, say yes. Okay, now here I can do src is equals to at drawable inactive, this thing. So I have created one image view, and to that image view I have assigned this flight mode, airplane, right? So if this color is itching to your eyes, you can go to airplane mode, and here fill color, right? This fill color you can say E8, 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 likewise. Little bit faint gray. Same I'll do here, likewise. Faint gray. Okay. Same thing you can do over here. This and here I can change the color E8, E8. So it becomes a little bit grayish. Now let's run the code and see what happens, how that plane looks like. Likewise something. Okay, now whenever you are going to change this broadcast receiver, sorry, this icon, this image should change. This image should change. How you are going to do that thing? See, close this thing, this, and let's write one image private void change airplane and int image. Change airplane int image. See, image view, find view by id r dot id dot image airplane, this dot set image resource and that incoming image, this set image resource and this incoming image, and I'm going to call this method inside this. See here, change airplane. If it is true, right, if it is enabled, then r dot drawable dot airplane active, and here airplane inactive if disabled. Active and inactive, these two things are going to be happen. Let me run the code and see what happens now. Okay, now let me enable the airplane. Can you see this image is getting changed? If I remove this, airplane is getting changed. How you will work with the broadcast receivers, this is a typical example on that. This yes, likewise when you, if you want to listen the airplane mode or on or off events, you are going to use this intent. See this airplane mode change. Likewise there is a battery also, intent dot, right, you'd be getting multiple things. So few of them, can you see battery changed, this for getting the battery change, battery low, battery okay, boot completed for the boot. If you are going to get the bug report, this many things are there. Not all these are the for the broadcast receivers, right, some of them are for the broadcast receivers. Predefined, yes, all these are predefined. Local change, see, if someone is going to change the local of the phone, your app should get affected, right, that you can get over here. This, yes, you can create, we are going to see that. See, media mounted, this is also one broadcast receiver, right, removed, media removed, scanning finished, right, see, likewise new outgoing call, likewise many things are there you can use. And this was the typical simple thing or some needed thing that we have seen. Means this broadcast receiver will work only if your app is running, only if your app is running. Now I want to make something, or I want to have one broadcast receiver which would be running throughout the app life, install to uninstall, right. So we are going to use with I'm going to get same broadcast receiver, see, but I'm not going to use this one. This one is for local. If your activity is running, this is going to get worked. Right, now see, here, let me close it, and broadcast receiver, source, main, Java, my receiver, this. So here I am going to simply log it. Log.I at codecool, and say incoming action intent dot get action. We are going to print the action incoming action. So every intent will come with the action category and data, and every intent would be having some action. We will print that action in the log, and I'll go to the manifest file, and here can you see this thing, receiver, name of your receiver, enable true, exported false. Now what I am going to do is that here I would be writing one intent filter whose action is airplane mode, whose action is what, airplane mode. Now what is the difference between this and earlier one? This will run throughout. Run the app or don't run the app, this will run. Once you are going to install the app, this is going to give you that logs throughout the app. Right, okay. Now what I'll do is that let me run the app, this. So you don't need to write any code for that, just registration in the receiver. I am removing the app, I am killing the app from the recents as well. This cleared. Now let me open the logs and say at codecool is there, and here you would be getting incoming action broad. Yes, you don't need to open the app broadcast receiver. See this, can you see, action is coming, this action is coming, right? This boot completed. What, let me tell you one scenario. You are making one app for location tracking, right? You are making one app for location tracking, and suddenly you are, if there is a no internet, all the locations are getting stored on the SQLite, right? Internal database, phones database, SQLite. Suddenly your phone goes off. Your location tracking should be start automatically when your phone wakes up by getting some battery. How you will come to know that phone has restarted? There is one event, reboot completed. On that reboot completed, here you would be checking, right, if action is exactly equals to reboot completed. If action of this intent is exactly equals to reboot completed, right, start location tracking service. Once again, there you are going to use this thing, right? Location tracking. So we have created many location tracking apps. In that app we have used same situation. Maths, because of this intent filter, algorithm would be the same, this of the intent filter, airplane mode on, airplane mode off, right? So this is how you will register the broadcast receivers. You are going to register the broadcast receiver in this fashion. Now can I send my own broadcast, custom broadcast? Yes, you can. How? See, let me have one button over here at the bottom. Button. match parent, wrap content, id, at plus id, say btn okay, or btn broadcast, right? And here I can write say text at string and btn broadcast, this broadcast, say okay, btn broadcast and this, and location at the bottom, align parent bottom true. Your UI will look like this, something, button is over here and airplane mode is over here. Okay, now what I'll do is that whenever I'm going to tap on the broadcast, what would be happening? Let me enable the Java 8 jack options, say enabled, true, this is a closure you are writing, true. Compile options, source compatibility 1.8 and target compatibility 1.8. You can sync the project, so you'd be getting benefited with the Java 8 by this setting. Okay, now my receiver, this, let me open the activity, and I can have the find view by id. So for these two you can have one method like this. So make it modularize or functional, private void, right? Private void init airplane receiver. I am writing this method init airplane receiver, airplane or flight mode receiver, flight mode receiver. So you can copy this much and write this, say init flight mode receiver. Instead of that, r dot id dot say btn broadcast dot set on click listener, and v and your lambda, whatever lambda you would like to write, that lambda you can write over here, right? If your lambda is multi-line, please go and make it method reference click. You can create the method called as click, and here if view dot get id is exactly equals to r dot id dot btn broadcast, like this, right? On the click of btn broadcast you are going to write code over here. Send broadcast is one method, send broadcast is one method, and from here you can send one intent. Can you see this? Send broadcast, by the definition broadcast receivers are the intent receivers. Android fires the intent, same way you are firing the intent over here with some action, say com dot kudalkar dot action dot custom dot underscore receiver, custom receiver. Send broadcast new intent com dot kudalkar dot action dot custom receiver. Any arbitrary string a dot b dot c p dot q dot r. Yesterday we have seen this thing. In the last tutorial we have seen this thing, how to work with this intent filters, right? Okay, now you are firing this. So what I'll do is that I'll go in the manifest file and I'll add one action over here. Is that fine? So one broadcast receiver can receive multiple actions, right? You can mention multiple actions to one intent filter. Yesterday we have seen this thing. You can receive multiple actions, multiple categories, multiple data to the intent filter. So here you can do same thing. Let me copy it, copy, and this means this broadcast receiver is going to receive if any intent with the airplane mode action or the custom receiver action will arise, right? This intent filter or this receiver can handle that intent. Everything from intent should find the match. Look at the principle. Everything from intent should find the match. Intent would be having custom receiver, you should have that custom receiver in the intent filter. Let's do that and see what happens. Let me run the code. This we are working with this receiver. Let's see what action it receives. So it's working. Broadcast receivers are very needful thing. Broadcast receiver we are going to use at the multiple situation. Alarm, if you want to get the alarm at 9 o'clock exactly, it is one broadcast receiver. Even the GCM push notifications, uh, whenever you are going to receive some notifications, you can fire it throughout the phone via broadcast receiver. Anyone want to receive that notification, that can be received. GCM works in the same manner. Presently it is Firebase instead of GCM. Can you see incoming action, com.codecool. Custom receiver, incoming action. One receiver can handle multiple actions. One receiver can handle multiple intents just by adding the action, multiple actions. And this is the power of intent filters. You are saying that pick all that receivers who are having this action. System is giving you one intent that is having one action. You are saying that pick all the receivers who are having this action. See what did we do? This, send broadcast, this, and this. You have fired your own intent. Own intent. Broadcast receivers are also called as intent receivers because of this thing. They are going to receive some intent like this. They are going to receive the intents. Pretty straight and the clean. Where? Okay. So in that case, don't use the broadcast receiver. That are the web services typically. You are going to check, means you are going to hit one web service. That web service will tell you how much amount in your wallet is, right? And if your amount is less than zero, show the pop-up on the response. So Woli will go to the server and give you the response. Your balance amount is this much. Throughout the app, not throughout the phone. Throughout the app, not throughout the phone. If you want to fire throughout the phone, go with the broadcast receiver. If it is related to app, why you need broadcast receivers? Typical scenario, see you are making one app related to the calendar, and someone go to the system settings and change the current date. Another app went to the system setting and change the current date. Obviously your app is going to get impact on that. How you are going to avoid that? Using broadcast receiver. So whenever he is going to change the date, current date, your app should get that notification. Typical scenario where you would be using broadcast receivers, right? Weather, yes. Okay. So this is these are this is once you know this many things, right? Once you know these many things, you can work with the broadcast receivers. This is all about broadcast receivers. Now, homework for you. You are going to make one Android app that is going to show me the battery level. If battery level is going to be changed, I am going to get the notification. Percentage of my battery. I should receive that. Right? So, this is the homework for you. You can make the app like this. Fine. This is all about the broadcast receivers. We'll start with next topic. Right? So if you have any questions, you can ask me.